Well, the weekend's coming into a close, but that doesn't mean I stop there. So today we're going to be reviewing ChocoPro in the UK. Of course, this is pre-taped. I'm so excited because apparently there's some wrestlers their first times being there and some wrestlers that may have been returning. And then of course we got the GCW, the Nick Gage Invitational 7. All matches will be death matches, but who will walk out? Will it be Alex Colon to do it for a third time in a year? What, in 3 years? Well, we'll find out soon enough. But of course, we got the latest Wrestling Revolver. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Both GCW and Wrestling Revolver took place on the 12th of November, and I'm really excited to review these two. But also, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Rod here. So, let's begin with ChocoPro in UK. Now, we hardly get to see ChocoPro outside of their native land in Japan. We know they've done a ChocoPro in Thailand recently, but now it's in UK. This one was, I think, the idea of Chris Brooks, and I have to say the venue was pretty great. Original in a bar, yeah, in a bar, and not to mention, I have to say, I like how they added the commentary between Balinaki and Mei Shiruga. I think that was a pretty good taste of it. So we only had two matches involving in this. So here's what we had. Match number one is one-on-one action. Leon Slater versus someone I may have mentioned a lot of times on certain occasions, Shigehiro Iri. This is the first time these two, I believe, countered. But what I liked about this, they took the match away from the mat and they went outside. And not to mention, Balanaki did like what they saw. But not to mention, they even said, man, we got to do something like this in the US. We need to find ourselves a bar. Yeah, I wouldn't blame them. But it was a good choice. But the match itself was great. Like, you have a powerhouse dude like Erie and Slater, who's a bit of like the cruiserweight. But how would this transpire? Well, it worked in the favor of Erie when he actually used his own power against Slater by applying to it to pick up the pinfall, which was great. So that's how it worked. In our next match, tag team action, we got Millie McKenzie debuting for the first time. She teams up with someone we've seen already in Choco Pro, Kid Lycos. They take on CDK. I thought the match was great, because it was very interesting to see Kid Lycos and Millie McKenzie team up. I don't think they ever teamed up before, but Millie, as you know, she's now returning to the scene ever since she was let go by WWE, and I thought it was great to see her, and she did a pretty good job. But however, CDK has proven time and time again why they are one of the most top wrestlers in Choco Pro, and they pulled off with a double pinfall onto both their opponents, and it gave them the chance to win. Look, if Kid Lycos or Millie made it make the pin, they would have got an opportunity for the tag titles. Now, I wasn't expecting this, but it was Jonkin that we had. I wasn't sure how this was gonna go. Millie got eliminated, so it was Kid Lycos, Slater, but I was surprised it was Chris Brooks and Shigeru Iro that made it all the way. But in the end, it was Chris Brooks with scissors, while Shigeru did paper. It was done just like that. So don't know when we'll ever see Choco Pro here in the U.S., but That will be fun. But don't know if this following weekend we will see brand new ChocoPro. That's something we don't know. But right now, let's move on to the next review: GCW Nick Gage Invitational 7. Okay, GCW Nick Gage Invitational 7. Now, those who are new to the channel don't know what is the Nick Gage Invitational. I'll tell you, this is more like an annual tournament by invitation by wrestlers involved in death matches. So they have these type of events. I'm going is just to prove who is the top guy or girl in death matches. So these are wrestlers picked. It doesn't matter where you're from, either from here in the States or across from abroad, like either Mexico, Japan. Doesn't matter. But that's what it's all about. It goes with four opening round matches, then then semifinals. Then they take a break and they do like regular matches in order to give the finals a rest in order before we proceed. So we had, of course, Nick Gage, who set up this little invitational, decided to pop up and say that he's looking forward to how this is going to turn out. Now, our opening match was a three-way. You see, this has had about maybe 9 people. So basically, one particular match was going to carry a three-way. And this one in particular was Alex Colon versus Sawyer Wreck versus my boy Hunter Freeman. Now, keep in mind, all matches are death matches, so that's what it's always been. I thought this match was going to be a very interesting one, but as a fan, I had a feeling it was going to fall into favor with Alex Colon because Alex Colon, if you guys know this or not, he has won the Invitational back to back twice already. So the obvious question, whose eyes are on him, saying, will he walk away for a third year? I said yes, he would. So he picked up the win when he applied a Spanish fly onto Hunter on the light tubes and giving him the win. So he proceeds to the semifinals. Next match we have Cyclops versus from Pro Wrestling Freedoms Toshiyuki Takuda. Now this guy is insane. Takuda is like very nuts. I'm like, there was a moment that he put an object right through the mouth of Cyclops. Oh my goodness. But it did not stop Cyclops in order to try to pick up the win. He did pick up the win when he applied an unsuspected chokehold and forcing Takuda to tap out. So Cyclops is one of those guys who I do consider possibility that could he win. He's been doing this for a long time, so I would probably do that. Our next match, we have Cold Roderick versus Miedo Extremo. As you know, Cold Roderick has been shown what a he's been involved in death matches since starting this year, and he really stepped up his game. He's like one of those underdog types, but he has won death matches here and there. But however, in this one, he was rolled up. However, this time Miedo Extremo, he has to go out. Gensu has a bit much better experience against him, but miraculously, Cole Roderick was able to walk away with the victory to proceed in the semifinals by rolling up Miedo Extremo. Then finally, we have Big F and Joe coming all the way from the UK. He takes on the Duke, John Wayne Murdoch. Now, Murdoch is one of those guys we definitely have to pay attention because he is a GCW original. He made his return, I think, last year because he was involved in other promotions. So that kind of puts out in a very perspective way. But, however, he was able to pick up the win when he applied the Super Destroyer onto Big Joe, allowing himself to win the match and proceed to the finals, to the semifinals. Now, let's get to the semifinals. We have Cyclops versus Alex Colon. Now, these two guys, we know they have faced off each other before. As you know, Cyclops is one half of the current tag team champions. He and his cousin Miedo Extremo, they won those titles from Cologne and Murdoch, which ironically those two are involved in the same or nearly close by. But it was, of course, Alex Cologne with the crossface onto Cyclops that allowed him to proceed to the finals. Now, the next match determines who will Alex Cologne face. It was between Duke John Wayne Murdoch and Cold Radrick. I thought it was insane how this one was going to go. But, however, John Wayne Murdoch applied Destroyer onto him to proceed. However, this is a very interesting storyline how I see it. If you guys know this or not, Alex Cologne has been declared as one of the best deathmatch wrestlers today. Murdoch was in that same type, but since he left GCW, Alex Cologne was the one who's carrying the torch. So it's like, who is the best deathmatch wrestler right now? So we proceed to a non-deathmatch wrestling. We have a five-way scramble match. We have Jimmy Lloyd versus Alex Price versus Young, Dumb, and Broke Jordan Oliver versus Nick Wayne and Blake Christian. I thought this match was insane because these are incredible wrestlers. So, but I do know in certain aspects that Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne, since they're not only tag team partners, but they're also friends. Jordan Oliver is mentor to Nick. They were going to work together at some point, and then of course they will fight each other because they're not afraid to challenge each other one way or the other. But it was Jordan Oliver with the acid kick onto onto Jimmy that allowed him to win the match. Now our final match of the NGI7 is John Wayne Murdoch versus Alex Cologne. I thought this match was insane. Now, like I said before, Alex Cologne has won two back-to-back NGI events, but could he fulfill a third one? Well, this one ended with a deep south destroyer while he did it. Murdoch did this right on top of the corner pad, and of course, right on top of Light Tubes, allowing himself to win the matches. But in the end, it looks more like he and Alex Colon buried the hatchet because, Murdoch has proven that he is the best wrestler in the past. But he sees that Alex Colon is the best wrestler today. So he's willing to bury that to extent and realize, yes, they are from two different eras, but they're from two eras where they were at the top of their game. And I think that shows it all. So I think it was a pretty good. I think I like the storyline with Murdoch and Cologne a lot good because it tells it who is the best. And I think it kind of goes in that way. So I think that's pretty much it with GCW. I believe it's time with Wrestling Revolver. Okay, our final review is Wrestling Revolver. This is their latest event that took place on the 12th, and I forgot to fail to mention, GCW also had the same day as well, on November 12th. This one's called Smoke 'em If You Got 'em. Now, our main event is the Remix title. Now, our opening match, we have Mike Bailey versus Jake Christ. I have to say this match was a really good opener because Chris has been showing what he can do in the ring. Same thing with Mike Bailey. But I think the biggest surprise is when Mike Bailey was applying the Ultimate Weapon, somehow Jake Chris was able to grab his leg and turn it into a single leg Boston Crab. But Mike Bailey refuses to give up. But it took the buzzsaw kick to put Jake Chris down. 1, 2, 3. Mike Bailey wins the match. Next up, we got Jessica versus Allie Katch. Now, this is a feud between, of course, the Gene unit has been nothing but the unit has been nothing but a problem ever since then. Jessica and Allie Katch has been going back and forth. But I knew that those dirtbags, the unit, were going to get themselves involved one way or the other. If I was Jessica, I would get some help to deal with the unit one way or the other. Now, Damian Chambers, as you know, he's this guy who comes up getting all pissy about not being involved in this, but he always sets out in an open challenge, but in the result, he never wins. Either it goes out by squash match, but his open challenge is none other than son of a legend, Brock Anderson. That's right, folks. You know who Brock Anderson is. He's the son of the enforcer, Arn Anderson. Now, this wasn't a squash match. Now, Damian Chambers tried to do everything in his way possible to beat a legend, now the son of a legend. That would be like something on his resume. But it took a spine buster by Brock to put Damian Chambers down. So better luck next time. We'll see who'll be the next open challenge in the future. Now we got a very interesting three-way match. We got Ace Austin versus Bandito versus Zachary Wentz. I thought, what a great match. It was a lot of high spots in this one. You know there's going to be a lot of high spots because these guys are fantastic wrestlers who do athletic stuff. But what I thought was going to win. To be honest with you, I was a bit biased, but I was a bit surprised that it was Zachary Wentz with the UFO cutter onto Bandito to pick up the win. So I liked it. It was really fun. Next match, we have a four-way match. First, we have one called Manders versus the Southern Psycho, Mance Warner. As you know, those two are part of Second Gear Crew. Versus Steve Macklin versus Crash Jackson. Now, this is like one of those heavy hitter type matches that you know who's going to walk out. But I think the bigger threat that everybody had to agree was Steve Macklin because, you know, you've seen Steve Macklin, how he was. But in this case, there was a moment where, of course, Crash Jackson had the match won. But once again, Steve Macklin decided to take advantage and take out Crash Jackson because the person that he had already put away was one called Manders, and he picked up the win. Now, Manders might have been disappointed, and so does Mance Warner. They didn't care. Right in the post-match, they actually asked, let's go get some light beers. And of course, everybody started giving them light beers. Our next match is a very interesting match. We have Rich Swann versus Brian Pillman Jr. I thought it was a good, fun match in every way possible because there's no storyline built in this one, but it was good. As you know, Rich Swann is still coming out from dealing with the whole loss with Swerve Strickland, but it was a pretty good one. Now, you probably would have guessed that somehow Swann would have walked out with using his finishers, but however, it did not go. He picked up the win with a pinfall instead. It was a really good one. Now, our next match, we have Team Ambition, consistent of Warhorse and Mike Outlaw, out to get revenge for Davey Richards, thanks to members of the unit, The Infrared, Tyler Matrix, and Logan James. Now, you know for a fact, because this is the unit involved, they would get involved one way or the other, including that fat moron Phil Stumper always gets himself involved to ensure, but somehow they were able to isolate Warhorse away from Mike Outlaw. But however, when you know that Mike Outlaw has enough energy, he was going to try to take them out. But however, it did not work out in that favor. Once again, Logan applied the low blow onto Mike Outlaw to pick up the win, and they applied their finisher, giving them a win. Sooner or later, the unit's going to get eliminated one way or the other. So that's going to happen. Now, our next match, we have Myron Reed versus Swerve Strickland. Now, keep in mind, Strickland has changed in attitude since he first appeared at Wrestling Revolver. But you probably know this is how that he was going to do a lot of damage. But it took the Jammo driver onto Myron Reed to pick up the win. But however, Strickland was about to eliminate Myron Reed one way or the other to show him whose house. However, Rich Swann shows up to make the big save. So that kind of sets it all. Now, before we jump into our main event, we had a surprise visit by none other than our current AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Now, there was a lot of talk about this before in the past. Now, if you guys remember clearly a while back, right after the whole incident with the media scrum and All Out, that Jon Moxley signed a 5-year extension deal. So that includes him from ever participating in GCW. But the obvious question that was never answered was, does that mean that he's not going to be involved in Wrestling Revolver? Well, I would say yes and no, but Wrestling Revolver normally they have their shows normally in Ohio because, as you know, Moxley is from Ohio, so I don't think there's any problems with that. But of course, one way or the other, Sami Callihan, his good buddy from the Switchblades, decided to sacrifice Damian Chambers to Moxley, and he got the Death Rider. So goodbye. So we may see him a little more in Wrestling Revolver, but we'll just wait and see. Now, our main event, this is for the PWR Remix title. Now, this title, if you guys aren't familiarized, you make the stipulation what you want. Now, Trey Miguel, who's the champion, had fought Alex Shelley for this particular match title before, but Alex Shelley wants to have a rematch. So this time they decided to go with a 30-minute Iron Man match. Now, normally when it comes to an Iron Man match is an hour, which is the stipulation, but that's what Trey Miguel decided. Now, he was defending this title with honor. Now, keep in mind, Alex Shelley doesn't give a damn about this title. He thinks this title is a maybe a prized possession, but why doesn't it need to be defended? So we all assumed that Trey Miguel was going to win, but sooner or later we knew that Alex Shelley somehow was going to take uh, take shortcuts, and of course he did by low blowing Miguel in the last couple of pins. But he won the match by 7. They originally tied the match 6-6 in sudden 6-6. However, Trey Miguel decided it was sudden death, but you know how Alex Shelley got away with it by applying a low blow. But at the same process, it did allow. No, he the referee was knocked out, but he used the belt against uh, Trey Miguel in order to pick up the win. And of course, he said once Trey Miguel saw that he won the match, Alex Shelley said that he will not defend that title ever again in Wrestling Revolver. Sooner or later, Sami Callihan has to do something about it to tell him to come back, or he'll probably strip it from him. And I think that's probably the logical choice. So I thought the vet was pretty well good. I have to say, I'm starting getting into Wrestling Revolver a whole lot more. So it's real fun, but can't wait to see the next one coming up in December. I think that's pretty much it with Wrestling Revolver. So let's go and move on to our final thing, news updates. Okay, here's what we have for our news updates for all you. Now, if you guys are familiarized with this individual, you may have heard of Kevin Kelly. Now, Kevin Kelly, originally we known him from the Attitude Era in WWE when he was a ring, a backstage interview. I remember Rock calling him an ugly for hermaphrodite. These days, Kevin Kelly has been involved as a commentator for the English commentary for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I just don't know how long he's been doing it. However, it was announced that he's developing a brand new promotion that will be launching in January of 2023. He calls it American Excellence Wrestling. He does have a financial stake in it. Don't know much about that. But I think many fans would say, does that mean that he will not be participating anymore with New Japan? Recently, I have been seeing that he has participated only on the most important events, like let's say Wrestle Kingdom, Dominion, the big ones that we definitely could get behind. And I think that kind of sets it all. So I'm going to presume he probably still will be participating with them. Now, if you guys remember a while back, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I mentioned this before. Bobby Fish, as you know, is debuting as a boxer. So he just participated in a boxing match in Dubai. Uh, Somebody probably say, he is not wrestling, yeah, but Bobby Fish is a wrestler, so I have to follow him because this is something interesting to know. Now, some of you might have thought Bobby Fish is gonna lose this match, but to my surprise, now I'm not a big fan of boxing, but hearing this was like, whoa. Turns out that Bobby Fish won his debut match in the second round by a TKO onto his opponent. I don't know who, can't pronounce his name. Boateng I can't pronounce it. But it was interesting to hear that he won his debut match in Dubai. Uh, Also, some other details. It turned out that CM Punk and Sammy Guevara were there. I heard that people booed at Sammy, but CM Punk, I'm not much sure what's going on there, but we'll see. So anyway, let's move on. Uh, Great news in the Yoshi world. I was aware about this, but I did not see it. Miyu Yamashita, on the other hand, has won the Eve Championship from Pro Wrestling Eve, the all-female promotion out of the UK, and basically she had two matches back to back. First one was against Millie McKenzie. The second one is a title match against Alex Windsor. So she won that match completely well. However, her previous opponent, Millie McKenzie, shows up. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Millie McKenzie, she is in fact the former NXT UK star, but now she's back doing best kicking ass outside of that. So she comes out, challenges Miyu Yamashita for that belt. Now there is a record between them. They are 1-1. You probably ask, where did Millie McKenzie get the win? Well, here's the best part. They did had a match not last month in October in Spain for the World Cup. Now where they were not part of the World Cup tournament, but they were involved in a good match. Millie McKenzie picked up the win on that one. So that match will take place in Japan. We just don't know when. I'm going to presume during a big event in pro wrestling in Tokyo Pro. Just don't know when. Interesting developments happen. Turns out during a WWE event in Peoria, a fan threw a beer at Scarlett Bardoux. Uh, totally unacceptable. But this individual and the party actually were forced to be escorted out due to this really messed up thing. I have to say it was a good move that removed them out. Don't know what's the situation, why they threw the beer at Scarlett Bordeaux. I don't know if she did anything wrong to them, but I think it was pathetic out of them to do something like that. Now, finally, Yoshi wrestler Yuu. Let me spell that out for everybody. Yuu has won the Pro Wrestling Eve International title. So this is huge. Now she is title holder of two belts, the Pro Wrestling Eve and the Pure J title. I forgot which one they call that. But however, she said that she will put that particular title on the line against Yuna Mizumori at a YMZ event on the 28th of November, which is later on this month. This was very unusual. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Yuna Mizumori, she was originally with Got to Move until she graduated from the promotion, and now she's kicking it as a freelancer. She's now going everywhere. One of the biggest moments I've seen her in so far, she participated in New Blood 5, teaming up with Mina Shirakawa and Waka Tsukiyama to take on Rina, what's her name? Linda, and Ram Kaicho. But it's great that she's going to get a big title match. I know she has won some title matches before, but that's pretty much it what we have. So I think that's pretty much it with everything else. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have AEW Dark. I haven't decided yet what other events I haven't missed. I know I missed the second day of the GCW event, Wisconsin Death Trip, and I believe we have others I didn't notice. I'll wing it completely to see how that turns out. I may have to keep this particular episode a minimum, maybe 2 or 3, due to the fact that the following day I gotta be, of course, at work. But that's only on Tuesday. We'll see what happens then. But sorry, I don't know if you hear my cat. She's getting my attention. So anyway, we'll see how that goes for the next episode. But for now, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.